Hello, guys and ghouls.
Hey.
Welcome back to Fear Given and Rethemed. We are your hosts, Casey.
And Sean.
And today's episode is on all things Halloween Horror Nights. I'm excited to kind of go through with you guys about what we liked and what we did not like about this year. But I will say that this year was by far the best year in a long time. And I wish we could have gone multiple times.
Yes, and this episode is not all things Halloween Horror Nights, but all things Halloween Horror Nights 32.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
From 2023.
Yeah, let me specify that. Okay.
What's up first, Casey?
All right, so we're just going to jump right into it because we have a lot to go over. So the first house we're going to go over is, and this is in order of where they were in the park.
Mm-hmm.
So
starting from the left side.
Yeah, so Blood Moon, Dark Offerings. While it might not have as strong of a narrative as some of the other original Halloween Horror Nights houses, Blood Moon, Dark Offerings makes up for it with some disturbing imagery and unnerving rooms. Focused on a colonial colonial cult that murders those who don't worship the Blood Moon. Right from the beginning, Dark Offerings is full of sacrifices and rituals that will make you want to convert to their beliefs, lest you become a human cornucopia.
Murder.
Murder.
What was that, a vine?
I think so.
Good times.
With the constant chanting and praising, well, I'll chant that in just a few minutes. The red tint to every room and the creepy worshippers, Dark Offerings is uncomfortable right from the get-go. Near the end, visitors have to walk through a chapel of sorts, and the churchgoers, who may or may not be real, makes for a horrific climax to this house. Oh, there's that word again. Blood Moon Dark Offerings has less of a direct story to it than other houses, but who needs a story when the house is this chilling? Da, da, da.
So that was Blood Moon, Dark Offerings.
Yeah, so what are some of your favorite moments from this house?
Well, something that caught my eye as soon as we started the house was the big bright red moon in the background, kind of high up in the rafters almost. It literally was kind of a red or a blood moon. Really cool effect right off the bat. What about you?
I liked that the sign said Parish Town.
You would.
Because not my maiden name, but like my mom's side, her maiden name was Parish. Not spelled like that. They spell it Parish, and ours is with 2 R's.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Are
I
you
really
ready to
like.
chant?
Oh.
Is that what you're gonna do?
The blood moon hath risen. The false-hearted must die, lest we all die. False-hearted must pay, lest we all pay. No, I really did like that.
That was probably my favorite part. To me, this house was all about religious horror, and I think that's probably the creepiest to me, just because it's very.
It was
I don't
so
want to say it's
unnerving.
relatable, but it's jarring. Like it is kind of relatable. It's really easy for people to
every
be
moment of it
in a cult. So
I mean, yeah, like everybody. I feel like everybody's in some sort of cult. Like I'm in a Taylor Swift cult.
you're deep in that. And we just finished that Netflix show, Escaping Twin Flames. We're not.
Can I have one of your
A gummy? Yeah.
gummy?
They're Welch's gummies, for the record. Just to clarify, they're not special gummies, I promise.
Oh, I wish they were.
I don't think either one of us can do that with our work.
No.
But
If you're listening, I don't do that.
So this also, kind of on the same track of religious horror, this reminded me of Stephen King's Carrie a lot. Kind of that deep-rooted religion equals fear of whatever you're worshiping. So this definitely had that vibe to it.
Yeah, I really like the town facade. Yeah. And remember when you go into the little town, right? I forgot what number scene it was, but they were using intestines to drape and hang.
Oh
They
yeah.
They
on the altar, the big kind of cross-looking thing, but it was really shaped like a person.
Yeah, kind of. But it was really cool because I had like little people. I don't know if it was midgets. Sorry, I shouldn't say that.
I think they
little
were
little people.
Children.
They were children, right? In
Yeah.
coats.
Yeah, they were. So, yeah, very little people.
Yeah, they were using their intestines to drape and hang things.
Uh-huh.
Another scene that I liked was the candle wax girl.
I completely forgot about this until I saw your notes.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, House of Wax, very.
It was
very
really
up that
cool.
alley.
They were like, she was like dead, and she had wax just dripping. It was a really cool scene.
Yeah,
I like that. Another scene that I liked was the pews in the church.
That was probably my favorite scare, which was interesting because it wasn't. So when we did the Behind the Screams tour, they showed us this, and they showed like there's going to be an actor in this room. This is the trigger for him. He sits down. He's a statue scare, and the only real scare that he did when we walked through was he just kind of like ruffled out his robes.
Boring.
Like he was prepping for it. Right. It wasn't really an in-your-face type thing. But then the one at the end of that same scene, that one got me because I thought, I guess when we did the Behind the Screams, I was kind of, my alertness had gone down after I saw the first one. I was like, all right, cool, he didn't jump. So when we got to the end of that room, completely forgot that there was only one statue there and that the other was a prop. Wasn't a prop.
I always get like people who don't jump out at me. I hate that. I'm like, I guess I just have bad timing or I have bad luck in haunted houses.
I think they just see you and they think, oh, she's not going to be scared. Let's just hit the next person.
Well, I'm not going to act the whole time that I'm scared.
I know.
Because I'm not.
But yeah, that was a cool scene. And I remember in that, it was really hard to see during the actual event, but during the Behind the Screams on that one as well, before I forget later, they actually had Dr. Oddfellow symbols in different symbology on the blackboard.
Well, they have those in every house, right?
All of the non-IP houses, yes.
Ah,
because
right. Okay.
before we get much further, the icon this year was Dr. Oddfellow.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that at first.
If you don't know who he is, he's very closely related to Jack the Clown or Jack Schmidt. There's a whole Schmidt family.
Yeah, we're not going to go into the whole story, but
we'll give you
can learn.
tidbits.
We'll let you know what to like read or listen to if you want to learn more.
Yeah, and we'll link that in the show notes as well.
Yeah, I really like the bell tower dude.
The bell tower is really cool.
He was really creepy because he would do this, and I'm motioning to him, slitting your throat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And for that, to kind of tie it into the design, so this house was designed by Dylan Kolath, which is the same designer that did Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake. That was from last year.
Dead Man's Pier.
Yeah. And for that house, they had a very similar set design. And I believe this one was in the exact same place. So they probably utilized a lot of the, like the scaffolding so that they could have that platform higher up. But it mimicked the Weeping Siren or the Weeping Ghost, whoever that was in that house last year, kind of off in the distance, super high up.
What?
So that was...
Can you repeat the...
The house from last year that did this was Dead Man's Pier.
Oh, right,
Winter's
right.
Wake.
Okay, yes.
Same designer, very similar set.
Cool.
So that was neat.
I really also like the huge fire and the dead body sacrifice. Like the mound of dead bodies that they had at the end.
Yeah, so they kept having this kind of like wooden person. So imagine like one big... how would you describe it? Like a totem almost?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
yes, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, at the beginning it was one big wooden totem, and the way they constructed it, it was made to look like a giant person, probably 10, 12 feet tall. Mm-hmm. And then as you walk through the house, this totem had more and more actual body parts kind of tied to it, nailed to it, to kind of construct this full on. So one of the last scenes was you see this totem
it's
fully covered
ginormous.
with hands, with arms, with legs, like all the parts of the body.
Oh, and at the top of it, it was a guy and his intestines were dripping out.
Yeah, it was a very intense house. If
Oh, yeah.
you're if you don't like gory things,
No.
probably not a house for you.
It's like one of the most, I think, gory houses that they've had
Yes. Yeah.
ever.
It was really, really well done.
That's why I really liked it.
The ritual, the sacrifice, the religious horror behind it, the cult.
Yeah.
We were probably most excited about this house. And we did it twice.
Yep, we did.
We did it the very first time as soon as gates opened. We did it without Fast Pass or without Express, whatever.
Fast Pass.
And then we did it again at the end of the night. And to me, it was the same caliber. Like, I didn't notice any difference in acting.
No,
I
it was
wasn't
the
any
same.
less impressed going through it the second time.
Yeah.
They were on point.
I think I was
both
even more
times.
impressed the second time, actually.
Yeah.
It's like, dang, that's such a good house.
Yeah, we almost went through it a third time, and I think we talked ourselves out of it because it was already like 1:30, and we were like, we should
We were
probably go.
so tired. Oh my god.
It was exhausting. But yeah, what
the
you got
statue scares was the last one. Like the last scene, the statue scares.
I forgot that they did that twice. They did it once in the church,
Yep.
and then they did it again at the end.
Yep.
And they also had, sorry about that. They also
should
had
be. Just kidding.
trying to burp, but not in the mic. They had a conservatory scare. So this was the first house as well that we did the behind the screams on. So what we learned was a conservatory scare is when they put a mirror in the room to make the room look larger, and kind of a double-edged sword, behind that mirror, they hide the scare actor.
Yeah.
So
Those are always
you're
really,
simultaneously
really
making
good.
the room look larger, but you're also hiding the actual scare right behind that. And there's a few other mirror scares that we'll talk about as we go along, but that was the first one that we encountered in Blood Moon.
Yeah. So to end this house, what was your ranking for this house?
Ooh.
Out of 10.
Out of 10, this was number 3 for me.
Me too. Number 3.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so the next house we're going to go straight into is The Exorcist Believer.
Yeah. Was Exorcist higher up on your list
Yes.
than Blood Moon?
Yes.
Where did you have Exorcist at?
2.
2? Okay. I had it just below. I had it at 4. So right
Okay.
around, we're still at the top of the list with these.
Yeah. So while all the houses at this year's Halloween Horror Nights are phenomenal in their own ways, The Exorcist Believer is this year's best house by combining the storytelling that Universal is so great at with these houses and the classic scares you'd expect from a haunted house. This melding feels like everything Universal does right at Halloween Horror Nights, all for a film that hasn't even come out yet. So Universal bills The Exorcist Believer as a living trailer for the upcoming movie where 2 12-year-old girls are taken over by sinister spirits. Much of what makes The Exorcist such an effective house is the tricks you'd expect from a haunted house. The constant aural attack of screams, begging demonic voices, and the subtle use of Mike Oldfield's tubular bells makes this a disconcerting walkthrough from the moment you walk in. It also feels claustrophobic in a way that other Halloween Horror Night houses don't, as you walk too close to the demonic girls, often walking right next to them in haunted scenes from the upcoming movie. But Believer also knows how to use stillness to make the guest uneasy. Some of the most disconcerting rooms are when nothing is even happening, like when you walk through an oddly quiet bazaar. Am I saying that right?
Bizarre? Yeah.
Yeah. Or see the iconic Exorcist stairs and just wait for something to come. Now, I'm reading this from a website called collider.com, and I'll link it for reference in the show notes. But I really liked the way they explained these houses.
What was the website? Can you spell it?
Collider.
And how do you say that word?
Collider?
Collider?
Sure, whatever. I mean, Collider, Collider.
All right.
Probably, now that I think about it, it's probably Collider.
I'm
just
reminds me of a
stupid.
story of spelling from my past, but that's for a different time.
Okay.
So yeah, the music in Exorcist is really, really hard to beat for a horror movie. I love this theme song.
And they started off right in the bat. The first scene, the
Yeah.
music starts.
Yeah. What else happens in the beginning? The ritual table with the doll spinning.
Yeah.
I have a faint memory of that.
Yeah, so the ritual, so when you walk in the room, there's a table in the corner, kind of like ours right there.
Kind of a round, small.
Yeah, it was a round table, and it had like ritualistic carvings on the table. And then it had a bunch of candles in the back. And they were all lit. And then the doll was in the middle of the ritualistic
What type of doll was it?
I don't know.
Was it like a porcelain doll? Was it like a rag doll?
I think it was a porcelain doll, but
I don't remember
I don't know.
I'll have to look that up.
But it turned. It went in a circle. It was really
slowly or quickly or? Was it like an eerie, just kind of slow moving?
It wasn't too slow, but it wasn't too quick.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah. And the reason why I remember all of this, guys, is because I went back and watched all of the videos of the walkthroughs that the media did.
Flying off the seat of my pants.
Yep, you're just trying to...
Minimal notes, just trying to live in the moment of the podcast.
Yep, well, I'm the only one that is prepared.
So what was your favorite quote? And can I guess?
No.
That's a bummer.
The body and the blood. The body and the blood.
The body and the blood.
I did that pretty good, didn't I?
You were uncanny.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that, I don't know if we made it sound as creepy as it was in the house, but that is really creepy.
They literally yell.
I think the other night
Body
when we
in
were
the blood.
sleeping, didn't I wake you up saying that? Did I not?
God, no. I would be terrified if you did that.
Well,
I'd be
now
like, you need to get out
I'm
right now.
definitely doing it.
No, you are.
All right, tell me about the staircase. I see your note, but I don't remember it.
The creepy silhouette staircase.
Oh, was that when she was like bending backwards in the shadow, or am I just making
No.
that up?
So
in my
you're
head?
walking in,
Mhm.
and fun fact. Actually, I'm not going to tell you the fun fact. I'm going to wait until the end.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're walking in this, and they see the staircase, and then you see the silhouette up at the top of the staircase, and she's just walking, kind of
That's
really
it?
creepily. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, all right. Moving on. So the acting and the makeup were really, really good. We didn't
yes.
get to see this movie until, like the actual movie, until after we had gone to the event.
Right.
This was the only house that we didn't get to do the Behind the Screams tour.
Yeah, 'cause we went-
hadn't seen the movie.
We didn't say when we went. We went the second weekend, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Second
it wasn't
week.
opening weekend. We did go on the opening weekend of SeaWorld's Halloween event. And that's why a lot of the crowds were low, because a lot of the influencers and YouTubers, they were at media night for SeaWorld.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
Which we didn't know until
For some reason,
we
I
talked
thought
to our
you
tour
meant
guide.
we went to SeaWorld, and I was like,
No, we've never been
I've
to
never been to
SeaWorld for
SeaWorld.
Halloween.
am I
but-
just like, do I have amnesia?
I haven't. I feel like in that area, it's really hard to beat Halloween Horror Nights, so we haven't
Yeah.
really invested the time or the money
No,
to
but
go
I think
anywhere
we will
else.
now because there's so many different.
We should. We should at
There's
least give
so
it a
many.
shot.
Yeah.
I think we
agree.
need to reset our expectations. But yeah,
I mean, but we're not not gonna go to Halloween Horror Nights, duh.
no, Halloween Horror Nights is one of our staple things.
Yeah, we go
year-round.
every year for my birthday.
So, the reason I brought up seeing the movie later was when you compared the two, the
Mm-hmm.
makeup and the acting and the casting for the girls in the house were really, really well done.
Yep.
In terms of the girls that were cast in the movie.
Yeah,
Like if
it
you
was,
put them
like,
side by side,
Spot on.
I would have said they were the same person.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, their makeup was phenomenal, but the acting was so great. Like when it mentioned like you're close to the actors.
Yeah, that summary
Like-
was spot on. We were
Right.
within probably a foot and a half.
And they stare at you.
It was.
She,
it
like, made
felt
eye
like 30
contact
seconds
with
of
you.
solid eye contact, and then
Yeah.
as soon as we left the room, she went right to the next person. That was probably my favorite scene. Was when she was tied to the chair.
Did you know that there were 2 scenes of them being tied to the chair?
I feel like, yes,
There was. I didn't notice. I didn't remember that until I watched the video.
yeah, because it's kind of like it's two
One of-
different moments in the movie.
Right. So one of them was normal, and then one
Mm-hmm.
of them they were like in hell, basically.
Yeah.
Like the demon had taken over everything.
And that was when there was like a star, like a pentagram on the ground.
Yeah.
I believe in one of the rooms. Could be wrong, but that's what I remember.
Yep.
I
Both
may be
of them
mixing
had
that
it.
up with. Was it in the video walkthrough? Was there a pentagram on the ground, or
Yep.
am I thinking of
No, there was.
Scream Park?
Nope.
Okay. So we'll do another video in the future, but Fear Reach Scream Park, they did a really similar room.
Yeah, they did.
I don't
didn't
think
they?
the entire house was the same, but one room was this.
Oh, it was so good.
It was this possessed girl.
Yeah.
That was. How would you describe her? She was bending. What's that word?
Flexible.
Yeah, she was super flexible, but like a contortionist. That's
Yeah,
it.
contortionist.
So she was a contortionist, and they had a pentagram on the ground, and then there was like a demon coming through the wall. So we'll talk about that in that episode. But that's
Yeah,
it's really easy for me to switch them back and forth in my head.
right. So I did note that I wasn't a huge fan of the demons that they had in this house.
Yeah.
Do you remember what they looked like?
Vaguely, and I only remember them being kind of bland and not
So
really...
I think women were playing them. Like there were women scare actors, or scare actors, sorry.
Okay.
And they were, I don't know, they just didn't look scary to me. Like they were a little scary, but I feel like they could have been scarier, like in The Darkest Deal.
Yeah, they didn't... I don't remember them striking in my memory as being a big
when
deal.
I rewatched the videos, I was like, oh, that's not as scary as I thought it would be. But
Yeah. To round out this house, one thing I did want to touch on, because we bought something kind of based around it, was the scent in this house.
Oh,
got
yeah.
a lot of bad reviews. But
I
for
know.
us, we really enjoyed it. We used a similar scent
I
in...
like the smell of burning bodies.
Yeah, apparently.
Just kidding. No, it doesn't smell like that. It doesn't
To
smell like
me,
burning
it did.
bodies.
To me, it was very comparable
It
to
just
one
smells
of
like
the...
fire.
Yeah, kind of a bonfire without the marshmallows.
Yeah.
So we used a similar scent in our haunted house from Froggy Fog. That was charred corpse.
Yes, charred corpse.
Yeah, charred
that's what it's
corpse. We
called.
did that in the initial walkthrough of our home haunt, when you're kind of going through the back alley and you see the missing child posters, you see the kind of the fencing on the wall.
Yeah.
It fit really, really well for us in that scene. So I just wanted to kind of touch on it. We have a candle that was based off of the scene in The Exorcist, and we've burned it a few times. Smells great.
Yeah,
So
I didn't
what-
want to like go through it, so I put it up until next Halloween. But.
That's fair. All right,
Yeah.
what's the third house?
So the third house is dun 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 Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
So this year marks the third time Universal has done a Stranger Things house. And Stranger Things 4 proves that they've obviously nailed how to fit an entire season's arc into one house. Stranger Things 4 covers all of the major points of the latest season, beginning with Eddie Munson trying to wake up a Vecna-captured Chrissy. Chrissy, wake up! To the battles between Henry Creel and Eleven, deep into the Upside Down. Universal has done an exceptional job bringing this season to life, complete with running up that hill needle drops, hideous demogorgons, and some of the best acting in any house. This is based on somebody's review.
Yeah, we don't fully agree with that, but that's great.
I kind of do. So for those who love Stranger Things, this year's house is worth doing twice, just to capture all the fantastic details that make this come to life.
I completely forgot. This is your number one house, isn't it, this year?
It is, but you know what? You want to hear a fun fact?
What?
After watching the video,
You didn't like it anymore, did you?
I didn't like it as much as I originally thought.
Well, you can't change your list now.
No,
I had
I
it as number
can't.
5, and I stand by that.
Well, I still am going to stand by it, so because I can't change my list, but
So the beginning scene, I remember the first set we walked into
So
was Eddie
cool.
Munson's trailer.
yeah.
It looked very realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I felt like I was in a trailer park.
Except Chrissy.
So when you walked inside, Chrissy, mangled on the ceiling, was similar to how she looked in the show. And even in the show,
I don't know, it just looked so like
I don't understand
stupid.
exactly what style they were going for, other than like all of her.
Possession.
Well, it was like all of her limbs were broken
Yeah.
in a backwards method than what you would typically find.
That's true.
So to me, it almost looked like a swastika.
Oh, I didn't get that, but I guess I can see what you
Like
mean.
the way she was maneuvered
yeah,
and
the way her
situated on the
arms
ceiling.
and
Yeah,
her
it
legs
just
were
it
positioned.
looked eerily similar to that. I'm sure that wasn't what they were trying to do.
Oh, probably not.
But that's what it reminded me of personally. So, pop trivia. Do you remember what number Henry is?
1.
Good job. It's not a hard question, but
No, but I mean, I'm also a huge fan of Stranger Things. So.
you are now.
Yeah, speaking of him, Henry, 1,
Mm-hmm.
the acting part between Eleven and Henry, where they're like dueling.
I forgot about that until you just
really
said
cool.
that.
Yeah.
I didn't know what you were talking about when I saw your notes, but I was like, I'll figure it out, find
Yeah,
out.
I mean, they were so good. They were just acting the whole time.
And what was neat is, I don't know why this is just coming to me.
Well, duh,
but-
they were acting.
So in that scene where you're walking between them, right? Am
Yes.
I- okay.
Yeah, you're walking between Henry on the left side and then 11 on the.
So
right.
that was an instance of a pre-programmed trigger. It wasn't actor activated, I don't believe.
No.
because Eleven didn't have anything at her feet. You could clearly see her feet, so she didn't have any maneuverability for her to actually reach over to a trigger. That would be a little too obvious for that scene.
Right, and they moved a lot, really.
Right, so she and Henry both had to really memorize the scene and kind of go through it. And something I really remember from this scene was during part of it, they actually had little like water sprinklers or misters. So you felt like you were in the crosshairs. They did it in the Dr. Oddfellow scene as well. But in that one, they used air. For this one, I remember it being water. I could be wrong, but that's what I remember.
No, you're right.
All right. So what else you got?
Vecna's world is
That was my
cool.
favorite scene.
I mean, the amount of detail. I mean, it's pure red, like you're in hell, basically.
It was, and there wasn't a whole lot of props in there. Most of it was blank space, so they highlighted it really well in just using lights and blank space and having very key signature props.
I got a blank space, baby, and I'll write your name.
I'm really disappointed that she has a cruise coming out because I really don't want to even consider that.
You're taking me.
False. All right, so Vecna's World was really, really cool.
Yeah.
My only issue with it was now that we have started learning home haunting and how to make our own props, what really bugged me in this was you can spot spray foam a mile away now.
That's true.
And that's what
There's
I
so
would
many
say at
houses
least
that I'm
80,
just like,
85%.
you need to fix that.
Yeah, at least
can see.
85% of this scene specifically was like, oh, there's a staircase, and it's all spray foam to make it look
That
like
staircase
kinda
was not
molten
all
lava.
spray foam.
No, the staircase was real.
Oh, okay, I
The
was about to
staircase
say,
was
dang.
real, the clock was real, but almost everything else in that scene
Yeah.
was spray foam.
Yep.
So,
Even Vecna. Just kidding.
no, he probably was.
No, they did a really good job with the makeup though, and
Yes.
their costume
I think my favorite scene of Vecna in this whole house was
behind the sheets.
Yes, behind the hanging sheets in the backyard of Eddie Munson's trailer.
Yes.
That was really cool. It got me.
That actually scared me. Yeah.
Yeah, we knew it was coming, and somehow his like in and out when the sheets moved, it was really cool.
And I can always tell. I mean, anybody can when a scare is coming because a good
Yeah.
old Universal team member is standing right there.
Yeah.
And sometimes they scare me more than the actual character does.
Yeah, I have to keep doing double takes to see if is that a character or is that a
They just
okay,
come.
it's just
I mean, they just come out
operations.
of nowhere. Anyways, a next favorite of mine was the upside down room in the kitchen.
Yep, that was cool.
Because if you looked up the ceiling,
It was
everything
the-
was
it
you
was
were
the
upside
mirror.
down. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really cool. Anything else for you?
No, not on that one. The last scene was neat. It was Eddie and Dustin on the roof of the trailer. So the only thing that bugged me about this scene was obviously Eddie's not playing the guitar. The guitar was actually screwed down so that there was no possibility of him picking it up. And I think
Yeah.
that was probably just licensing reasons. Could have been Metallica saying, hey, you can play the song, but you can't play along to the song.
It's so boring. Just
So
kidding.
that
But,
was...
I mean,
And the
would
music
you,
wasn't
if
very
you were
loud.
a character, would you want to be holding that all night long?
100%. But
Oh,
for me,
well.
that's different because
It's heavy.
I probably would have gone home and I would have tried to learn the song and I would have wanted to play along to it. Because, I mean, just as a guitar player, I'm never going to be like, nah, I don't want a guitar in my hands.
I know.
I've been on stage one time without a guitar in my hands,
And you were awkward.
and it was brutal. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Pockets.
It's a Talladega Nights moment in the interview where they just slowly come up into the frame, almost like a superstar
You
or
should see
spirit
him.
fingers.
If you haven't ever seen him sing karaoke, he sings with his hands in his front pockets, and it's so
One
cute.
hand in my front pocket
Oh.
and one hand on the mic.
Yeah, duh.
And apparently I've got this new,
Leaning forwards and then leaning backwards.
if it's a high note, I'm going to lean back and I'm just going to belt it and hope that it's the right note because there's no going back then.
It
So
doesn't
anyways,
have to be perfect. It's
what-
karaoke.
I try to get it as good as I can. But enough about me.
Yeah.
Did you get scared At the very end, we're walking out of the house. Did you get scared by the very last thing that happens?
No.
You didn't get scared?
From the Demogorgon?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
'Cause
whatever.
guess what? I knew he was going to be there because we had already done the Behind the Screams tour, and they were like, that's going to be there.
So,
and I was like, okay.
Now that you
noted.
bring that up, would you have chosen to do the Behind the Screams after the event, or do you still think doing it
No.
before was
I
beneficial?
think before.
Why?
Because that's a good question, actually. I think because I would have, you know what? I don't know.
So I like it before because I want to know what I should be looking at,
Yeah.
and I want to see it. I want to be deliberate about what I see under show lighting and show conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know, hey, is there going to be something over there that might be cool looking? Because when we talk about Dr. Oddfellow's, whatever his house is called,
Yeah.
there's a scene with a silhouette on the right that's not really in your direct line of sight. You have
That
to
is
look to
true.
the side to see it. We would have never caught it
No.
if we hadn't known about it. So
That's
because
true.
we did, I think we were actually able to point it out to people in line behind us while we were going through it. And I was like, hey, like, look over there. They were chatting it up in the queue before, so we
That's a
knew
good
that
point.
they were fans of Jack the Clown. They were fans of Dr. Oddfellow and of HHN. So it was really cool to share with them, having not gone through the event before, to be like, hey, look over there. That's really cool. You're going to miss that. And then they thank me for it afterwards.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah.
anything else on Stranger Things?
Nope. Oh, that was my number 1. That was your number 5?
That was my number 5. It was
Okay,
good,
that's
but
fine. Whatever.
it didn't. I don't know. I love Stranger Things, so it wasn't the story that I didn't like. I just didn't. I think it could have been better. I think they had a lot more potential.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one up is Dueling Dragons. Choose thy fate. So
Ice. Oh, sorry, we can't choose yet.
No, not yet. Dueling Dragons, later known as Dragon Challenge, was a dueling 2-track roller coaster. Is that not correct?
No, you're right. It wasn't. I was thinking it was the same exact theming,
Oh.
but it was based off of like Harry Potter Dragon Challenge.
Oh, no,
later.
no. It was an opening day ride at Islands of Adventure and ran from 1999 to 2017. The coaster, which was eventually replaced by Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, that is a really long title for a roller coaster. Anyways,
Oh yeah.
they had riders choosing between 2 different tracks and what at the time was the only fully inverted dueling coaster in the world. Universal keeps the spirit of this coaster alive for Dueling Dragons Choose Thy Fate, in which visitors are stuck in a battle between 2 warlocks, one representing fire, the other ice, who have been turned into dragons. Yeah.
Do you remember the wizards' names? Do you have that in your fancy little notes over there? How's your memory?
I don't know.
Oh, I'll give you
Wait,
a hint.
let me guess.
They have to do with fire and ice. Is that helpful? And not
Heat
Never mind.
miser.
no, not Heat Miser. Although Christmas is coming up, and that is my favorite Christmas character of all time.
I hate it.
I love it, and
You
I
make
sing
me watch
it,
that every.
and I sing the song all the time, even when it's not Christmas season. I'll sing it just because.
Anyways,
So the 2 wizards' names were, and I very well could be wrong, but I don't think I am, Pyrock and Blizzrock. Blizz like ice, like blizzard. Pyrock like pyrotechnic.
I remember
fire.
Pyrock.
Not like P-I-E, like pyro, like pyrotechnics, like fire.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? All right, so I feel like as we go on, we have less and less to say about these houses because they're not at the top of our list.
Yeah,
So
I don't
for
really
me,
like
this
this
one
house.
was number 8. Oh, we both have it as number 8.
Yeah, lame.
Yeah, I changed my list at the last minute, so don't trust your little paper over there.
You can't do that.
I did it before the podcast, so suck it.
How come you said I couldn't do it?
Because we're in the middle of the podcast, so
I can't even.
suck it.
That was rude. Okay, anyways. So I think that they made it scarier than I was anticipating, though.
Okay.
Like, because, you know, when you go on the ride or when you went on the ride, it wasn't scary.
If you're not scared of roller coasters, then yeah.
I mean, yeah. The only scary part was me almost like falling out of that roller coaster when I was like 10.
Yeah. It was a very fantasy-based story. I like the story on this one, but it wasn't. So they had a few audio bits as you're walking through the last little bit of the queue line before you actually go through the house, where it's Merlin, I think it's Merlin,
Yes.
saying the story, and then you see all these banners that kind of depict scenes before the actual haunted house starts, because once you're in the haunted house, that's when the kind of the climax of the story takes place. So that's when you actually see Merlin has already been converted into kind of like the big oak tree. So you're actually walking through Merlin's mouth is the opening of the tree.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the start of the house.
That was pretty cool, actually.
And then, I guess inside the tree, past the tree, I don't know, something past the tree, that's when you're in the fight between Blizzrock and Pyrock.
And they were
and you're
dueling,
seeing their soldiers,
like, the whole
and
time.
their chests had like projections on them
Yeah.
that were utilized very heavily. It was very repetitive.
Very,
So
very
none
repetitive.
of the scenes stood out to me any more than the others.
They were just
except
fighting
for,
the whole time. Just like
Right.
every scene was like, all right, there
There
they
was
are again.
one scene where you were, I think, allegedly in Merlin's chambers, and on the wall, you saw. Do you remember the book? You asked me about it earlier.
Oh, yes. This is in our fun fact at the end of the episode.
Oh, should we wait?
Yeah, let's wait.
Okay.
Anticipation.
Pay. That's a Rocky Horror joke.
So this house also had a lot of Sif.
Yes.
if you
What is
didn't-
Sith? How is it spelled?
As if. Just kidding. SIF. It means stuff in face.
Yep, that's the appropriate way to say it. A lot of the insiders replace stuff.
Yes, it does have a lot of hanging stuff that flies in your face. And they were everywhere. Like every single, like when I was rewatching it, your glasses are fogging up really bad.
I know.
When I was rewatching the videos, it was like, oh, there it is again. There it is again.
Yeah,
I
the
don't
whole
know.
house was very repetitive.
Yeah. And I feel like, oh, sorry, you can go on.
No, keep going.
Do you have anything?
Oh, no, I'm fine over here. You just cut me off. It's cool.
Sorry, I like to talk. I feel like they should have added heat or AC to certain parts.
That would have been cool.
I know
don't
it's hard to do
how-
because of safety. At least the AC. That could have easily been done because in that blue, like you're in ice,
Yeah.
you could have had
But
like a
imagine
really strong fan.
That's the thing is if you're going to do that every other scene, eventually you're just going to get a stagnant temperature because you're going to be canceling it out.
No,
back
no,
and
I'm
forth,
just
back
talking
and
about
forth.
that one specific scene.
I don't remember that one specific scene.
Oh, well, I don't
But I know what you mean. I
Yeah.
think if they would have used it in key parts,
Yeah.
it would have been cool. It would have set it on a whole different level.
So what fate did you choose?
I don't remember choosing this, but you said that I chose ice
Yeah.
and that you chose fire and that you
I did.
lost.
I went in the dark area.
But I don't remember seeing Merlin.
You and Tad went into ice. I went into fire. I was
Oh,
like,
and
bye.
you said you lost?
Yeah.
I thought we lost as well. So the way it's supposed to work is one side wins at any given time.
Yeah.
And the winning one has Merlin in it, right?
Right.
And the losing side has a soldier holding up the head, like the decapitated head of somebody, I don't know. I guess a Blizzrock or Pyrock.
Yeah.
So
And I remember seeing the head.
I don't remember what the ending scene was for me.
Oh, well. Anyways, that's not important, but
No. So I feel like we both lost. But
I mean, it literally looked like both sides were just like the same exact, except
it was a
just
different color.
was color, yeah.
blue versus red.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't that great.
So before I forget, so I'm going to skip ahead. I know you don't want me to, but in each of these houses, we'll talk about it more in the behind the screens, but there was a frog hidden in all the houses. I know.
Why
Don't
would
look at
you
me
skip?
like that. Anyways, in this one, it was the only house that had 2 frogs. I think that's cool.
It is cool, but guess what? That's on my fun fact list at the end
Well,
of the episode.
Right now, it's on my fun fact list. You want to know why?
Why?
Because I didn't read all your notes.
Oh my God.
So
and that's
there's a
why.
blue frog and a red frog hidden in this house.
I can't.
All right, moving right along. What's the next house you got?
Next house is Yeti Campground Kills.
That's supposed to be like Chewbacca. Didn't turn out.
No, it's more like Bigfoot, not Chewbacca. Wait, is that kind of the
So
same
I have a
thing?
fun fact about this. This is not the first time they have done a Yeti house. So there's another podcast that talks about all things Halloween Horror Nights. Like throughout the year, they full on track this thing out. They talk about all the rumors. They do a phenomenal job. Love listening to them. I don't remember what their podcast is.
That's a problem.
But when I find it, I'll link theirs in the show notes as well.
You better find it.
So apparently the kind of the deep dive behind this is they will use the term Yeti for multiple different creatures. So like
All I can think about, pause. All I can think about is the MySpace movie. And if you've never seen the MySpace movie, please go watch it on YouTube. It's hilarious.
What's
and
the
in
MySpace movie?
I've showed you this like 2 times. Anyways, in part of the show or the video, she's like, never mind, just go watch it. Yeti.
Jeez Louise. All right.
Just go watch it. It's
So anyways,
funny.
so they've done a
Yeti.
Yeti-ish creature. And what's funny about the designers is they have just kind of lumped up like Bigfoot, Yeti, Sasquatch, and they just call it all the same thing. There's no
Oh.
differentiation. So to people that have actually tracked this, they keep calling it the same thing, or they keep calling it by the wrong thing, whatever. So I don't think that adds much to this. But it was
Okay.
interesting when I heard about it because they were cracking up laughing, talking about it, and it stuck with me.
So you
yeah.
were right, though, and I will describe this house.
Okay.
What was that?
I don't know.
Oh, sounded like a pop. Okay, a sequel to Yeti, Terror of the Yukon from a few years ago.
Got it.
Yeti Campground Kills brings a family of Yeti to terrorize a ground of campers in the 1950s. This is another Universal or original house that is impressive in its scale, taking guests indoors and outdoors as we see campers torn apart by the Yeti family, leaving blood, limbs, and marshmallows in their wake. The Yeti costumes are undeniably stunning, accurate, and both monsters and scared campers get surprisingly close to visitors. While this certainly isn't one of the most terrifying houses, it's the vibe of Yeti Campground Kills that puts it so high on this list. Not our list.
No, you had it as number 7. I had it as number 6. So
Yeah.
to me, right below Stranger Things.
So it's very campy. It's silly, it's over the top. It's hard not to laugh and scream in equal measure. So, like they said, the Yeti costumes and suits, they were really good.
I want to know how tall their characters were to play that part because they all looked 7
So
foot
big.
plus.
Like, if I saw that. And
Oh, you'd be terrified.
Yeah, I'm not usually scared of anything.
And that wasn't the only. You're not scared of much. I think you'd be scared of Yeti.
I love how I just
so-
say that all the time.
Yeah, you're not scared. Ain't you scared? What's that from?
Right, scared. I don't know.
I don't know. But another character that was in this house that I thought was really cool. Is this in your fun facts?
No, it's not actually.
You forgot it. Perfect. Was
Bear.
Bear. So HHN Bear apparently has a cult following since a few years ago. It wasn't last year, right? It's been a few years. So it's this one actor that I guess he's in a big bear costume, a very realistic one, not like a campy one, but very realistic. And I believe the story started with a group of fans saw the bear behind the scenes, kind of in like a break thing, but he still had like the hat, or not the hat, the headpiece on. And they kept chanting, "Bear, bear, bear." And this bear started dancing. So then there were TikToks or Vines or whatever the popular video thing was at that point.
Not TikTok.
Of this bear dancing. So it was rumored that if you pass this bear in the house and you start chanting, "Bear, bear, bear," that the bear will break character of the scene and actually start dancing. We chanted it. and nothing happened.
No, probably because that character didn't know what the heck we were talking about.
Maybe. But I would feel like if you're going to play
the right
that
bear?
character...
I'm just kidding. We knew that from the
Yeah, we didn't
behind
learn
the
it until
screams, yeah.
the behind the screams, and I was like, that's really cool. So we looked
Yeah.
at videos. Phenomenal.
Do you remember the scene where the guy gets pulled back into the tent by the
No.
Yeti?
Sure don't.
That was pretty funny. It's actually, like, it was
I
pretty
do
cool.
remember, I bet this isn't in your notes either, but we passed an RV, and if
Yeah.
you were paying attention to the silhouettes, Universal doesn't do this very often, where they do animal torture, abuse, or murdering.
PETA? That's called PETA.
What?
PETA.
Like PETA Griffin?
No, not PETA. PETA. P-E-T-A.
No, so Universal,
Oh, my God.
in this scene, in the RV,
Yeah.
the little, like, poodle dog gets torn apart
Oh, my God.
in the silhouette. They told us about this in the behind the screams
I
tour, so I
wasn't
don't know why you're
listening.
shocked.
I-
They said they did it a few years ago with another animal, and they got really, really bad feedback from it, and they're like, all right,
Yeah.
maybe we're not going to do that.
I
And
was
then they
not
brought
listening
it
to
back
that part.
this time, and at this point it was just kind of like, yeah, we've done it, so what? Because
Okay,
it's not a real animal.
I vaguely
like,
remember
it's
that, because they were like, what are they
literally
going to
just
do?
part of the story, the silhouette. Yeah.
Huh.
So that's all I've got for this one. I think, to me, I understood the story. I wouldn't have caught it if we didn't do the behind the screams tour.
I actually kind of liked this one because the music
didn't.
was good.
I don't remember the music.
It was like, I don't remember exactly. It was just like a really cool, like, I don't know, like a campground, like, music.
I don't know what campground music is.
Anyways, the toilet scene was kind of gross. You remember that?
Yeah, it had a big snake that came out, and it
Yeah.
also squirted water at
Squirted
you.
water,
That
yeah.
was cool.
Yeah. All right, moving on because we have a lot to cover.
Yeah. Can I read the next one?
Yes.
I'll just read part of it. So Chucky is my all-time favorite horror character, favorite icon. I love Chucky. It was the one icon I was scared of as a kid, and now he's got a TV show. He's got tons of movies. I love it all. That's really it. You can read the actual description.
That was it? Okay.
That's it.
All right, so of all this year's Halloween Horror Nights houses, Chucky Ultimate Kill Count has the most brilliant concept. So Universal was working on their own Chucky house, and when the real Chucky found out that they weren't killing actual visitors, he decided to take over, possess the dolls in the attraction, and rectify this murderless house.
He was ticked.
Yeah, he was. The structure of Ultimate Kill Count itself is a hilarious idea. This would be like, it's a meta house, so it's making fun of itself, basically.
Kind of like Scream.
Yep. And as it begins as the mediocre Universal house, complete with a fake ending before an actor dressed like Chucky starts yelling at guests that the real Chucky is actually here and killing people. Part of the fun of this house is seeing scared actors dying in horrible ways, all from wounds inflicted by a Chucky doll. For a brand that often falls into meta humor, Chucky, Ultimate Kill Count, finds the perfect way to keep this spirit alive in this house.
Yeah. Are you going
So-
to read Chucky's script at the beginning?
Yeah.
You got to do it in the voice.
Okay. Who keeps messaging you?
I don't know.
All right, so you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay, first of all, I want to say that this house was based on a TV show on Sci-Fi.
Yep. And Peacock.
Peacock. Sci-Fi and Peacock, right?
It's streaming on
Okay.
Peacock, finally.
So inside of the house, this is a quote, not a quote, this is a whole paragraph that Chucky says to people, and I guess it just like continues to say it,
Yeah,
but
it's
he
his
just like,
repeated script.
yeah, it's a repeated script. So this is it. So
You
it's,
got to do it in the voice.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
That's good.
look at you nerds. Yeah, I see ya. It's me, your old pal Chucky. I'm here to put the horror back in Halloween Horror Nights.
He didn't stutter like that, though, but you're doing good so far.
Did you know that those at Universal Studios don't actually kill people in their event? Are you serious?
Wait. You're going to hate this. Can you go back and do it at the beginning? I'm going to do the beeps. That way I don't have to edit it any later. Perfect.
Cool. That's a good idea.
And cut to.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play? Look at you nerds. Yeah, I see ya. It's me, your old pal Chucky. I'm here to put the horror back in Halloween Horror Nights. Did you know that those beep at Universal Studios don't actually kill anyone in their event? Are you beep serious? When do we get to start stabbing people? I'm like the MVP of serial murder. I took over this haunted house and possessed all their dolls. So beep, starting to get really beep. Hey, who's doing that? Stop beep bleeping me. I'm entitled to 10 F-bombs per episode. Read my beep contract. Beep theme parks. Beep.
Oh, that's the end. Yeah.
I did not sound like Chucky, but I tried.
You did. You were absolute best.
Wow, thanks. So yeah, that was like my favorite, and it was hilarious.
So yeah, I don't want to linger on this house very long. To be honest, we have way better ones.
Yeah, we walked through. There was almost no actors for the puppets. It was
all the effects that we were told to keep an eye out for, none of them were working.
None of it happened.
So the top two things for me were, you put on here the kill count. So there was kind of like a big running counter. That was really cool.
Countdown, yep.
And then one of the very last scenes showed, like 9 or 10
I think
different
it was 7,
Chuckies?
actually.
7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
7 or 8, I think.
I think it was 9.
Oh, maybe you're right.
Because I
don't
think
know.
there's been 3 trilogies.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Something like that. I don't know. Somewhere between 7 and 15.
Yeah.
No, that's a range. But in one of the last scenes, they showed the main Chucky in each of the film franchises, each of the franchises' films, and how it actually died. So, like, for the third one, it showed that the face was mostly melted from being in the factory. I don't remember any of the ones specifically, but I remember them being really, really well done and fairly easy to kind of pick out the ones that we knew as our favorites. Oh, that was that one. Oh, that was that.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. So
yeah.
what's the next one? Because I believe
that was number 6 on my list.
That was number 9 on mine.
Wow,
I moved it down.
You did?
I know. I had really high hopes for this one.
I know.
I really wanted it to be top 5.
I'm sorry.
I didn't think it was going to be, but whatever. So
Okay, so
yeah.
our next one is something I'm super into.
I had this as number 2.
Yes, this was my number 4, actually.
Yeah.
So it's Dr. Oddfellow's Twisted Origins. So this year's Halloween Horror Night focuses on the character of Dr. Oddfellow as the story weaves through the various scare zones in original houses. But Oddfellow's presence is most apparent in Dr. Oddfellow's Twisted Origins, where, as the name implies, we learn the beginnings of this evil ringmaster. While this house focuses on Icon's horrifying circus, this house makes a tried and true haunted house concept feel fresh again. So that was the basically the synopsis of Dr. Oddfellows.
Okay.
So what did you most enjoy about this one?
I enjoyed the backstory. I love when they can kind of bring back a story and expand upon it a little bit. So
yeah, they did a really good job with this one.
I love Jack the Clown. I love backstories. So, fun fact, did you know that Jack the Clown had a brother that was featured in previous years?
I did know that.
Do you remember his name?
Ooh. Mike.
Think. No, it's not Mike. Think Christmas Vacation.
Eddie.
It was.
Really?
Yep, Eddie Schmidt.
Eddie Munson?
Close.
That would have been cool.
And his character is typically depicted as similar to Leatherface. They had a house a few years ago called Run that I don't remember. But when I was looking this up, I was doing a little more research behind Jack the Clown history and things like that. Love that storyline.
Yeah.
We'll post notes or a link in the show notes about a little more of a backstory for Jack and how he ties into Dr. Oddfellow, a little bit about where him and Eddie both come from.
I love Jack the Clown, let me just say, because he is like so funny, actually, because of his sarcasm.
Yeah, and I love that they have the full, I don't know if it's wax, but like the full character of him in the horror and makeup show.
Oh, yeah.
around the corner, it always gets me because it is like
Oh, I love
larger
it.
than life.
Yeah. The outside queue was really cool.
Yes.
And I have a
Full
fun
circus
fact.
tent. What's your fun fact?
I have a fun fact
For me?
that will be at the Behind the Screams episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, the more we do this, I feel like we're gonna have to put the Behind the Screams in a different episode.
Yeah.
We'll post them at the
Sorry,
same
guys.
time.
We'll post them at the same time, but guess what?
But
You're
this
gonna
is
have
already
to.
getting super long.
Yeah, we don't
and
want you
I'm
to
tired
have
of
to.
listening to us.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
but there's a lot of fun facts, so please
especially
listen
for
to
this
it.
one and that one.
Yeah. So Jack the Clown silhouette was in this house.
Yep.
Actually,
as soon as you go in around the corner.
there were a lot of Jack little tidbits in this house.
Yes, the silhouette was cool. Very easy to miss. I'm glad we knew about it before.
Yep.
So I'll talk about one further in. So there is a scene where there's a dressing room. And there's rumored that there was Jack the Clown's kind of station set up. It had his typical red, white, and green makeup for face.
Yep.
It had similar clothing to kind of the jumpsuit that he wears. Yeah, so that was really cool. What do you have? What's your tidbit of Jack that you saw somewhere else?
I didn't have anything else other than the silhouette, but
You had another one.
did I?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
You,
put-
Dr. Oddfellow's foot was up on, is that in Behind the Screams?
You know what? You need to really
Why
read
is
my
it
notes.
in Behind the Screams? Is it
Because
not
that's
important now?
That's not like something people just know.
I didn't know, and I took the tour with you.
Well, you weren't listening.
I guess not.
Anyways,
All right,
you can
so
say it. You've
I don't
already
remember
said
what it said.
I'd have to look through my notes.
All right, so something about Dr. Oddfellow's foot was on the crate that he stuffed Jack into.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
spoiler alert, he
All right.
kills Jack.
My bad, whatever.
No, it's okay. A scene that I really, really liked was Dr. Oddfellow on stage with the half human, half beast behind him. With
Yeah,
the
because this one was all about twisted origins, so very astrologically based. And they kind of
it was
did
very
it.
ritualistic, actually.
It was, and it kind of reminded me of American Horror Story.
Yes.
Was it Coven?
Yes.
Where they put the
The goats.
no, it wasn't the goat. They put like the big buffalo head
Oh, the buffalo. Yeah.
on the guy's head, and
Yeah.
it was
Ugh, so creepy.
that is a really creepy creature.
Yeah.
That's what this one reminded me of. Is they kind of
That haunts me in my nightmares.
yeah. So they took each of the astrological signs and the depictions of like the animals. The only one that comes to mind right now is Taurus because of the bull.
Right.
And they kind of made it into a minotaur of sorts. So imagine that same kind of mashup,
Yeah, half
but
human,
for
half beast.
for all of the astrological signs. And they took this a little further outside of the house into one of the scare zones, didn't they?
I think so, but I,
I think
don't
they
remember.
tried. I don't think they did it as well as they did inside the house.
Yeah.
It was a little harder to spot in the scare zones compared to in here, because in this one, most of the astrological signs had their own room. There were a couple that they kind of grouped up into similar rooms. But yeah, I had forgotten that was a big part of this one, was the half man, half beast type of thing.
Yeah. The lion puppet was really cool too.
Oh yeah, because they
Remember
had
that?
actual like puppeteers. It
Oh, yeah.
reminded me of 13th Floor and Fear Reach Scream Park. They had a puppet as well.
They
Which I'm
did.
slowly like
That was super creepy.
being a puppeteer for a puppet like
It's a lot of work.
is way more difficult than I would ever imagine.
Yeah.
It's almost like a Jim Henson like Muppet type of thing. Like that requires serious skill.
It does. Yeah, and that lion puppet was legit.
Yeah.
I really liked the freak show with the actors on the stage, the
That
women
was really
actors,
neat, yeah.
where they were like stuffing I think that is a nod to, like, they were stuffing limbs inside of a crate. So that might have been a nod to Jack.
Another one.
I didn't think about that until I just saw the video.
Okay.
But you were talking about the shooting gallery.
Yes. So the shooting gallery was really cool because your walking path was between the people throwing the knives and the dartboards that they were throwing the knives at. And to kind of get that sensory
Well, there was
feeling.
people on the dartboards too.
Oh, I missed that.
There were. They were throwing them at the people.
Oh, that makes sense. And we were just more kind of passerbys walking between there, though. So the sensory experience, so that you felt like the knives were actually being thrown and not just, oh, they're thrown in and they're already there, was little teeny tiny puffs of air.
Yeah.
That was really cool. They talked about that in the Behind the Screams tour, and I was like, I don't know how that's going to play out. But in the event, I loved it. I thought that was a really cool effect.
Yeah, it is a really cool effect. Did you see the little person that jumps out and smacks the lady's head with a hammer?
I missed that.
You did?
But you apparently hone in on all the little people.
No, it actually wasn't a little person. It was a little,
Was it a child again?
No, it was a short, fat dude.
Was he just same height as you, and maybe it was just a little below my eye line?
I hate you. Yes, probably.
Just because you're 5 foot tall, I'm sorry. I've only got 6 inches on you.
I'm 5 foot short.
Mm-hmm. All right, anything else from this house?
No, I think we're good. That was one of my favorite houses. I remember coming out of it and we were like, yeah, we like that one.
Yeah, it had awesome story. It had awesome acting, great set, great callbacks. So yeah, you had it as number 4, and I had it as number 2.
Yep. Okay. The next one is Darkest Deal.
Finally, this was my number 1 house.
This
was
so
year.
good. This was really good.
Unexpectedly.
And I'm glad, and it makes sense because of the musical aspect of it.
It does.
Makes sense.
There
that
were
you would
so
like it.
many musical instruments that were kind of chopped up and not stapled to the walls, like nailed or screwed to the walls. And what was really cool was when we did the behind the scenes tour. I know I'm just ruining all of it.
You are. I can't believe you.
So we were allowed to take pictures of a lot of things in this house, but the one thing we couldn't take pictures of were any scenes that had musical instruments, because I'm sure the manufacturers probably didn't want to see pictures of their instruments
Right.
absolutely
Yeah,
torn
Fender would be
apart.
like, what the heck?
Right. And a lot of them were very obvious.
Oh,
You can
yeah.
tell most of the manufacturers, especially in guitars, with the shapes of the headstocks or the bodies.
Yeah.
So very, very obvious, a lot of Gibson or Fender products. I can look at those all day, take them apart, all of it. So
Okay.
yes, this was very much up my alley. Sorry. Go ahead and do your summary.
Okay, thanks, because I'm ready to go. Okay, we've all heard the stories of musicians selling their souls for success, but The Darkest Deal does a fantastic job of bringing this to life in a haunted house fashion. Guests follow blues musician Pine Straw Spruce, who trades his soul to the collector for fame, and naturally, we get caught up in the redistribution of souls as well. Throughout the maze, we see a series of performances by Pine Straw Spruce from the beginning of his deal to the point where the collector is pulling the strings. The Darkest Deal excels at telling a narrative story amongst the scares and puts us in the shoes of Pine Straw Spruce, leading to a conclusion that sends us straight to hell. The blues age musicians might not be the scariest monsters, but the evolution of Spruce and the collector's story is a fascinating way to tell this story.
Pine Straw Spruce.
Yeah, Pine Straw. I have a fun fact.
Is it about who this house is loosely based on unofficially?
Nope.
Is it about a big green ogre?
You know, sometimes
You send me your notes, and do you expect me not to read them?
Oh, I guess so, yeah. So did anybody else, I'll just ask that, did anybody else notice that the Shrek bathroom to the left of the entrance of Bub's Lounge, like right when you enter, did you notice that when we went through it?
I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that. I didn't notice it. Seems like our whole audience. Nobody noticed it. I didn't notice it.
I didn't either until
Until you...
I did my research.
Okay. No, I didn't notice it.
But
That's
fun
really
fact,
cool.
yeah.
They
so,
didn't talk about that.
No, they didn't.
Even behind the screen, so
And
that's neat.
Rude. Anyways, the collector is basically a shapeshifter.
I think... So I have a feeling that the collector was supposed to be Dr. Oddfellow.
Oh yeah, that would make sense.
Our
but
tour guide was like, hard pass. That's not true. And I was like, So you're telling me he's collecting souls?
So you're gonna tell me I'm wrong?
Right. Her sister. Oh, I love that.
Oh
That's a
goodness.
story for another day too. See, I think the collector was Dr. Oddfellow, completely unofficial. That's just me that thinks that. But you're right, he was a shapeshifter. Kind of a slow progression. At the beginning, he was real city slicker, businessman, very calm, cool, and collected. And then
he turns into a really scary demon.
Yeah, like Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Oh my God.
Full
it
form.
Is, like, this is the devil. Like, if you see pictures or if you remember this,
he slowly transitioned as the house went on. He got transformed more and more. It was a really smooth progression throughout the whole house. Like, he was super easy to spot.
Yeah, and I missed this for some reason, but Pine Straw Spruce was on stage in Bub's Lounge?
He was supposed to be.
Okay.
He wasn't up there when we went through. I think it was a cast change.
Oh, that makes sense.
But yeah, he was supposed to be up there,
Yeah.
and I didn't see him either.
And one of my favorite is at the end where the collector takes Pine Straw's soul on stage and he like freezes and then like starts dancing again. Yeah, it like goes back and forth. Neat. But yeah, this was a really, really cool house. Lots of detail, lots of interesting.
The music was awesome.
Oh yeah, and I have a fun. Guess what? I have another fun fact.
I have a fun fact that I put in my notes, and then when I finished reading yours, I realized it was in the wrong place.
That makes sense.
I'm gonna save it.
That's okay. Yep. Listen to our part 2 episode of this episode.
Yep. You know, the more we go, I think we're gonna save the scare zones and the Nightmare Fuel show and put those with the behind the scenes as well.
That's fine. Guess what, guys? We only have 2 more houses to go.
All right. I have one thing.
Yeah.
So for this one, we learned about a lot of different types of kind of named scares. So in this one, do you remember the Russian scare? Do you remember this?
The Russian
Have you seen
scare?
this? Have you heard about this?
The Russian scare?
Yeah. So a Russian scare is kind of like a Russian nesting dolls. So in this one, it was a large prop. It was meant to be kind of like a large Dementor or kind of like a hooded figure. It was super large. And then amongst its robes, an actual actor came running out. So it was an actor inside of a bigger prop.
Yes.
And they called that
I remember that.
a Russian scare because he was
There you go.
not only like a Russian nesting doll, but he was also Russian towards you. All right,
That's
2
so
more
funny.
houses. Last of Us. What's
Ugh,
next?
these are the worst houses. Anyways, so The Last of Us, yeah, I was very disappointed in this because we don't play the video game.
We
I
don't
love
play
the show,
game. Show is all right.
but it's not based on the show.
I
It's
had it
based
as
on the video
number
game.
7.
Yeah. What did I have it as?
Number 10. So, I mean, it was kind of based on the show because the house is based on the game, the show is based on the game.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Surely there were some correlations.
Maybe.
Joel and Ellie were both in it.
True. So probably this year's most hyped house is The Last of Us, which is surprisingly based on the game and not the recent hit HBO show. The Last of Us takes visitors through the expansive Pittsburgh section of the first game, from Joel and Ellie crashing in a gas station after being attacked by humans, through the sewers, and finally through the suburbs. This is a massive section of the game to recreate, but Universal, working alongside Naughty Dog, has managed to make this come to life with perfection. So, yeah, it wasn't my favorite house.
It had cool set design. It was very industrial.
Yeah, the clicker makeup was pretty awesome, I will say.
So I have a correction. I see your notes.
They're not clickers.
They are, some of them.
Okay.
They're not all clickers, and I didn't know this.
Okay.
So they are, if you had to sum up what all of them are, they are the infected.
True.
And I could be wrong on this. This is just from I looked up online.
Okay.
From what I looked up online. Again, we don't play the game. We don't really play any video games.
Sorry, if you do.
We
I'm
like
sorry.
board games. So there are different types and different stages of infected.
Oh yeah, you're right, because there was a sign.
Right. So this may or may not mimic that sign. I thought it was cool, so I'm going to read off some tidbits. I'm not going to go through all of them. So the first stage when you're infected is runners. They are people that have recently turned into infected. They're defined by their intense speed, slow attacks or sluggish attacks, and tendency to attack people in large hordes. After that, you become a stalker. Stalker, not like a food store, like grocery store stalker. I just can't
A
say
KC
it differently.
stalker?
Right. So stalkers are people who have been infected from somewhere between 2 weeks to 1 year. Per their name, they stalk and hide from prey in the dark and attack at opportune moments.
That's very interesting. I did not know that.
So finally, the third stage is clicker.
Click.
Clickers are people who have been infected for at least 1 year.
Did I do that right?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Oh.
I thought you were checking me out.
As a stalker?
Yeah, and I'll take the attention where I can get it. So the long time elapsed has allowed the fungus to spread all over their bodies, blinding them and forcing them to use echolocation to find prey. So one of my...
Echolocation.
This is going to be kind of a tangent, but I want to mention them because they were bound to come up in our podcast eventually. Wicked Makers have a YouTube channel. They have a Facebook group. They're a husband and wife. They do
awesome.
phenomenal videos.
Yes.
If we ever reach the level where we're like genuine influencers or whatever they call it, content creators.
They make it look
I want to be a content creator.
easy.
Yeah.
We're trying.
So they have a video where they take a spirit Halloween prop and they repurpose it into a clicker, and they do all of the sculpting of the actual
video.
like mushroom petals.
Yeah.
I guess is the best word. And I think in this video they are learning how to airbrush as well. So there's a ton of new skills that they learn throughout this video that you get to kind of see a sneak peek into, and it looks so professionally done.
Wow. I need to go back and look
honestly,
at that.
all of their props that they've done. So I believe last year in 2022, they bought a lot of Spirit Halloween props, and they've used this whole season between Halloween seasons to kind of repurpose them into, I think they did Pennywise, they've done Wednesday Addams, they've done a clicker, they've done a few other ones, but the clicker is by far my favorite. So after that, after clickers, there are also bloaters, which I remember there was one in the house, and there was one in the show. That's the big, like, fat-looking ones. Sorry, big-boned.
No, they're fat.
Okay. And then after bloater,
They eat too
there's
many
also shambler.
What?
And
Really?
then after shambler, I didn't include it in my notes because I didn't know if it was relevant, but I think it was called like a rat king. And it was like if you were infected for 20 plus years,
What?
that's what you became.
I had no
So
idea.
I don't know if in the game, if 20 years has actually taken place or elapsed.
Yeah,
in
if
this
you guys,
time,
if
but,
anybody listening plays the game, let us know. Like,
Yeah.
comment and let us know.
So that was
I'm
all the
curious.
stages of infection. One thing I did want to take a moment to talk about is another new scare that we saw that we learned the name for. Do you remember what the scare was called?
No, I don't.
This wasn't
remember.
from your
No,
behind the scenes.
I don't
Okay,
have
cool.
that note.
So Grommel scare,
Yes.
Grommel.
I would have never guessed it.
I believe that is named after a person. I don't remember off the top of my head. But a Grommel scare is similar to a conservatory scare where they utilize a mirror at the end of a hallway or in some part of the room. And so with the conservatory scare, the actor was hidden behind the mirror.
Yes.
In the Grommel scare,
They're,
the
like, behind.
mirror, you see the actor in the mirror. And what's
Oh, but-
actually happening is there's a corridor next to you that's actually housing that actor. So in reality, that actor is like within feet of you,
Right.
not at the end of the hallway.
Like
He's
a
right
rear
up
view
on
mirror. Like objects are closer than they appear.
you. Yeah. So instead of it hiding the actor behind the mirror, it's actually makes it closer to you. So Grommel scare.
Interesting. We've taken way too much time on this house. Okay, so let's move
All right.
on.
What's the last one?
Let's move on to Universal Monsters Unmasked.
It had so much potential.
It really
And
did.
it landed at the bottom of my list, number 10 out
I'm
of
sorry.
10.
So, of course, Halloween Horror Nights has to bring out the Universal Monsters, and Universal Monsters Unmasked contains a curious collection of creatures including the Invisible Man, the Phantom of the Opera, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Monster Unmasked goes into the Paris catacombs with sets that are remarkable, and with so many monsters represented here, this is understandably feels like one of the longer mazes at Halloween Horror Nights.
It did.
It did feel long. I don't know
Super
why,
long.
but it did.
There's a lot of different characters to cover, so I get it.
Yeah, that is true. And it It was like, I don't know, it was kind of boring to me.
With the lights on, phenomenal set.
Yeah.
But lights off, I'm pretty sure we hit it during a cast change. So
Yeah,
most of
that
the
always sucks.
scares weren't there.
And to me, it was just overall very chaotic. Like, it was just so, there's so much
I felt the opposite.
happening. Really?
I don't remember much happening at all. It was a really boring house to me.
When I went back and watched the video, I was like, oh yeah, I remember feeling like, okay, is this over yet? I don't know why. But I did note that I really liked the scene where the chair in Phantom of the Opera, the chair was
forgot
closing
about
off the
that.
burning room, and the lady was screaming behind it. That was really cool.
So I took a few minutes today to look up to see if I could, I don't know what that word was.
Code. That's your country accent coming
To
out.
see if I could figure out what character, if there was one from the book or the original play that, like, was that a specific character that the Phantom tracked because it was an adversary to his kind of heroine, his leading lady of Christine, and I couldn't figure it out. So I guess it was just one of the other actresses or singers that he didn't want
Yeah, that could
to
have
have to
been.
compete with Christine.
Also, Hunchback scene with him swinging, even though we didn't get to see him actually swinging. I thought that was pretty cool, and I wish I had seen that, but
I need to go back and watch videos of that because I
Literally,
heard about it,
that's-
but that's it.
that's all I have for that house. I know a lot of people are going to come at me, and they're going to be like, what?
It
You
had
like, if
a
you're a
lot of
Halloween Horror
potential.
Nights fan, then you should like Universal Monsters. And it's like, I'm sorry,
If we
but
hadn't hit it during a cast change and we'd have seen Hunchback and all of that, then maybe it would have landed higher. But
yeah, probably.
really weird. Chucky was better, in my opinion, and it was higher up on my list. So this was number 9 for you.
Yeah.
So the only thing that you thought was worse than this was The Last of Us.
Yeah, that one
And I
just
had this
did
as
not
the
do it
bottom
for
of my
me.
list, so that's all we got for the houses. We'll
Yep.
have to split up the scare zones and the show and the behind the screens to another episode.
Yep, but hey guys, we want your opinions on the houses. So comment and let us know what your rankings are, because I like to see other people's opinions on some of the houses
Yeah,
too. 'Cause-
it's super subjective, so
Yeah.
I don't feel bad if you think we're wrong.
oh no, for sure. I want to see what you liked. So let us know.
Yeah.
And stay tuned for our next episode of Behind the Screams, Unmasking the Horror. And we're going to talk scare zones as well.
Yeah, see ya.
See ya.